It was a night no one could forget. Not because of flashing paparazzi lights or the buzz of red carpet glamour, but because of what leaked. The internet exploded when decade-old medical records, allegedly tied to global superstar Rihanna, surfaced online, and what they claimed sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. Fans were horrified, the industry was stunned. But what really broke the internet? The implication that Rihanna may have unknowingly passed HIV to her ex-boyfriend, Chris Brown, back in 2009. Yes, you heard that right. In the chaos of one of the most notorious celebrity scandals in music history, new allegations have resurfaced and they've pulled open scars everyone thought were long buried. And when Rihanna saw the leak, sources say she broke down in tears, locking herself away in her mansion and cutting off contact with her inner circle. But is this just a smear campaign from someone inside her past? Or is there more to this twisted tale than anyone imagined? As fans rush to her defense and enemies circle like vultures, this story takes turns nobody saw coming. What began as a shocking betrayal quickly spirals into something far more devastating. Something that could change how we see one of music's most beloved icons forever. The whispers started quietly, as they always do on anonymous blogs, shady gossip forums, and in blurred screenshots on fan pages. But then someone posted what looked like actual medical documents. The name, Rihanna, the date, 2009, and the diagnosis? Allegedly, a serious sexually transmitted disease that, if true, could shatter everything we thought we knew about that already infamous year. Fans didn't want to believe it. How could they? Rihanna, the symbol of strength. The woman who came back from one of the darkest moments in pop culture history, now linked to a disease that still carries so much stigma? But the documents looked real, too real. And it didn't take long before people started connecting the dots. One name kept coming up, Chris Brown. Back in 2009. The world was rocked when the story broke that Chris had assaulted Rihanna. It was a scandal that changed both of their careers forever. But what if there was more going on behind the scenes that night? What if the physical fight was only the surface of a deeper, more devastating truth? Sources close to the couple at the time are now coming forward, people who, until now, swore they'd never speak. One former assistant who asked to remain anonymous claimed that there was a major blow-up just days before the infamous incident. They were arguing about something way bigger than just jealousy, she said, her voice trembling in a secret phone recording. It wasn't about another woman. It was about a secret. A medical one? By the time the documents were circulating on social media, Rihanna had already gone dark. No Instagram stories. No tweets, no sightings from the usual paparazzi hotspots. According to insiders, she canceled an entire meeting with her fashion brand's top investors just hours after the leak. Her inner circle went into immediate lockdown, with team members instructed not to speak to any press under any circumstances. She's devastated, said one longtime friend. It's not just about the leak, it's about what this dredges up. She's worked so hard to move past that chapter, and now it's all anyone can talk about again. The shocking part? Some insiders are saying this leak might not have been an accident. One music executive who once worked with both Rihanna and Chris Brown believes the leak could be part of a planned sabotage. There's no wonder this just randomly came out now after all these years, he said. Someone wants her back in that narrative. Someone's trying to destroy her. And the big question is, who stands to gain the most from dragging Rihanna back into the 2009 scandal? Because while she's built an empire in music, fashion, and beauty, not everyone is thrilled with her success. As the public tried to process the rumors, a storm was quietly brewing in Los Angeles. Chris Brown's team, for the first time in years, refused to comment when asked about the leak. They didn't deny it, they didn't dismiss it, they said nothing. And that silence sent fans into a frenzy. Why isn't he speaking up? One fan tweeted, "If it's false, why not shut it down?" But others believe that the silence is strategic. It's not his story to tell, another fan argued. He's probably under legal orders not to say anything. But there's something even darker. According to a member of Chris Brown's former entourage, there was talk back then about health issues, serious ones. "I remember there was tension," he recalled.
He was freaked out about something, not just the media stuff. It was personal.
Rumors are swirling that the couple may have had a fight specifically because of the test results. Some sources claim Kris discovered the diagnosis from someone else, not Rihanna herself. And that betrayal, they say, could have triggered the explosive altercation that left the world stunned. He felt lied to, one insider claimed. He thought he had the right to know. But instead of a conversation, it blew up into something way worse. And now, years later, with both artists having moved on, the past is pulling them back. Kris has been active on social media, posting cryptic messages that fans believe are about the leak. One post, now deleted, read, "Truth always comes to light, y'all just late to the party." Another simply said, "Karma spins different for everyone." Though vague, fans have taken these as confirmations or at least acknowledgements of the chaos surrounding them. Rihanna, on the other hand, remains completely silent publicly, at least. But behind closed doors, there are reports that she broke down in tears after seeing the leaked files. Her team had to cancel multiple meetings. Her stylist allegedly walked out of a shoot after Rihanna had a panic attack on set. The emotional toll is clear, and those closest to her are worried. She hasn't been this fragile in years, a family member said. This took her right back to a place she fought hard to leave behind. She's scared, she's angry, and she feels betrayed all over again. The betrayal, it seems, is not just from the leak itself, but from whoever leaked it. Because if those documents were real, then they came from someone who had access to extremely personal information. Someone she trusted, and that's when the story takes an even darker turn. Because insiders now believe that the leak came from inside Rihanna's own world. Someone who worked for her. Someone she confided in. A former employee who was let go last year after a quiet internal investigation. At the time, it was brushed off as a routine restructuring of her brand's business. But now it's being reconsidered. Did this ex-employee sell her out for a payday? Did they keep those documents for years just waiting for the right time to use them? There's speculation that a massive lawsuit is in the works, one that could expose even more than what's already come out. Lawyers are reportedly scrambling, digging through contracts, non-disclosure agreements, and employment records. And Rihanna? She's caught in the middle of it all, trying to protect her empire while shielding herself from a renewed media storm that feels like déjà vu in the worst way, but perhaps the most haunting part of all is the emotional flashback. The pain from 2009 wasn't just physical, it was psychological, emotional, deeply traumatic. And now it's back, like a ghost refusing to stay buried. Her friends are worried that this new storm could undo years of healing. She's not just crying because of the leak, one insider shared. She's crying because she feels like she's been pulled back into a nightmare she never asked to relive. And while the internet continues to dissect every detail, every post, every silence, behind the scenes, the real drama is only just beginning. Because now that the past has resurfaced, the question is who else knew? Who else kept this secret? And who's next to be exposed? As Rihanna's legal team prepares to go nuclear, and as social media erupts with conspiracy theories and fan wars, one thing is painfully clear: this story is far from over. The phone calls started at midnight. Loud, frantic, and coming from numbers Rihanna hadn't saved in years, industry insiders. Old collaborators, journalists she thought had long moved on. Everyone wanted a statement. Everyone wanted a piece. Her team had just begun preparing for legal action. But inside her sprawling Los Angeles home, Rihanna wasn't thinking about lawsuits. She was curled up on the floor of her walk-in closet, her phone buzzing endlessly beside her. The silence from her was deafening, but her heart was screaming. She had worked so hard to move past the pain, the shame, the rumors. And now it was like the universe had hit rewind on the worst chapter of her life. In the midst of this chaos, one call came through that changed everything. It was from Melissa, Rihanna's best friend since childhood. Melissa had always been her anchor, calm, grounded, loyal. She didn't talk like a manager or a publicist. She talked like family. And this time, her voice cracked with emotion. "Riri," she said softly, "you need to know. Someone's trying to make this bigger than it is. And they're not working alone." According to Melissa, whispers were already circulating in industry circles. Another leak was coming. This time, not medical documents, but messages, private ones. Texts between Rihanna and Chris from 2009 that had allegedly been retrieved from a hacked backup server. Messages that would, if real, paint an entirely different picture of the events surrounding their infamous fight. "They're trying to bury you with this," Melissa warned. "They want to make you look like the villain." Rihanna was stunned. She barely remembered those texts. What had she said? Had she ever mentioned the Osis? The guilt? The fear? Her memory from that time was a blur, clouded by trauma, painkillers, and desperate attempts to keep her life together. Now, that forgotten digital trail might become ammunition in a war she never signed up for. Meanwhile, Chris Brown was acting strange. His Instagram story lit up with vague post clips of thunderstorms, broken mirrors, ticking clocks. Fans were confused. Was he playing victim? Was he trying to stir the pot? Or was he warning her? Some claimed he was deflecting blame. Others believed he was afraid of what the texts might reveal about his own behavior. Regardless, the tension between the two former lovers was now boiling over in the public eye, but behind all this noise, a deeper betrayal was brewing. The former employee suspected of leaking the documents was finally identified, a woman who had worked as a junior assistant in Rihanna's Fenty beauty company. Let go quietly after being caught accessing files outside of her job role, she had vanished from the public eye. But now, with rumors pointing directly at her, the story was breaking wide open. A reporter from a celebrity blog tracked her down in New York, and though she refused to give an official statement, she was overheard in a cafe telling a friend, "I don't regret a thing." She thought she could treat people like trash and, get away with it. Well, now the world sees who she really is. The betrayal stung deeper than any headline. Rihanna had paid for this woman's college tuition, had invited her to Thanksgiving, had cried in front of her when things got too heavy to carry alone. And this was the thanks she got. It wasn't just a scandal now, it was war. Her lawyers moved fast, filing an emergency cease and desist. But the damage was already spreading. A new thread on a gossip forum claimed to have screenshots of the alleged texts. One read, "I didn't know how to tell you. I was scared you'd hate me." Another simply said, "I'm sorry, Chris. I never meant to hurt you." Though unverified, the messages quickly went viral. Fans were divided. Some defended Rihanna fiercely, pointing out that being afraid to disclose a diagnosis wasn't a crime, it was a sign of trauma. Others accused her of endangering someone else's health. The internet had become a courtroom, and Rihanna's life was the trial. But then came the twist no one saw coming. An unexpected name entered the conversation. Drake. Yes. Drake, the rapper who had been romantically linked to Rihanna on and off for years. Out of nowhere, he posted a single tweet. "Funny how some people only tell half the story," the tweet exploded. Was he defending Rihanna? Was he calling her out? Sources close to him claim that Drake had once known about the medical rumors, and that he had distanced himself from Rihanna for a time because of them. One insider claimed he found out from someone else. He felt played. It wasn't just about love, it was about trust. And just like that, the scandal grew tentacles. It wasn't just about 2009 anymore. It was about the men who came after. The relationships Rihanna tried to build, and how this one secret may have followed her. Like a shadow. Fans began speculating. Did A$AP Rocky know? Was he warned? Is that why he hadn't posted about her in days? Suddenly, every silence was suspicious. Every photo was analyzed. And Rihanna? She was suffocating under the weight of 1,000 eyes. Even her own family was dragged into the mess. Her cousin in Barbados was cornered by reporters while picking up groceries. "Leave her alone," he snapped. "You don't know what she's been through." But the world wasn't listening. The story had become a feeding frenzy. And just when it seemed like it couldn't get worse, a new leak hit the internet this time. Audio. A voice recording from years ago. It was grainy, distorted, but clearly. Rihanna's voice, crying, pleading. "I didn't mean to lie," she said between sobs. "I just couldn't say it out loud, not even to myself." The clip ended abruptly, but the damage was done. Fans were heartbroken, others were outraged. And the media had its next headline. At this point, even Rihanna's team began to fracture. One publicist reportedly quit, refusing to be part of what she called a ticking time bomb. Photographers canceled shoots. Brand partners grew nervous. One major retailer paused a campaign featuring her image. And Rihanna? She stayed silent. Until now. Sources say she's preparing to speak publicly for the first time. But it won't be an interview. It won't be a tweet. It will be something more controlled, more powerful. Insiders say she's filming a documentary-style statement from her home, detailing her side of the story in her own words. This isn't just about clearing her name, one source said. It's about taking back the narrative. She's done hiding. And with that revelation, the stakes rose higher. Because if Rihanna is speaking, what will she say? Will she confirm the documents? Deny them? Will she name the person who betrayed her? Will she finally reveal what really happened between her and Chris on that night in 2009? No one knows for sure. But everyone's waiting because whatever she says next could change everything. The sun hadn't even risen when the news broke. Rihanna was finally going to speak. No media outlet was invited. No exclusive interviews were scheduled. Instead, a single video appeared on her private YouTube channel, unlisted but quickly shared like wildfire across the internet. It was raw, intimate. No music, no edits, just Rihanna sitting alone in a quiet room, lit only by a soft window glow. Her eyes were swollen. Her voice was shaky. And when she finally spoke, it wasn't the fierce, confident icon the world knew. It was the voice of someone exhausted from holding in pain for too long. "I never wanted to do this," she began. "But I can't let people keep rewriting my life." She paused, tears already forming. "What's out there? Some of it's true. Some of it isn't, but all of it is my story. And I deserve to tell it." The internet was stunned. Thousands of fans watched in silence as Rihanna, for the first time, addressed the rumors head-on. She admitted that 2009 was not just a year of trauma from abuse, but a year where she faced a life-altering diagnosis. She didn't name it. She didn't have to. The message was clear. "I found out something about my health that scared me," she said. "I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell my friends. I didn't even tell the person I was with." And just like that, the confession shattered the internet. Fans were in tears. Others were angry. But Rihanna wasn't done. She went on to explain the emotional toll of carrying that secret while trying to maintain her image. "I thought if people knew, they'd never look at me the same. I thought I'd lose everything." And then came the moment everyone was waiting for. She addressed Chris. Not by name, but clearly directed. "I should have told you. I should have been brave. But I was afraid. And it cost both of us more than we ever deserved." The comment section exploded. Some called it powerful. Others accused her of deflecting blame, but the conversation had shifted. Rihanna had taken control of her narrative, but at what cost? The response from Chris Brown's camp was swift. Within hours, a statement appeared in his Instagram story, not written by him, but by his attorney. "Mr. Brown appreciates Miss Fenty's decision to speak her truth. He will not be issuing further comment at this time." Fans dissected every word. Was it supportive? Dismissive? Strategic? Meanwhile, behind closed doors, the legal war raged on. The former assistant who had allegedly leaked the files was now under active investigation. And Rihanna's legal team was working overtime to trace the origin of the hacked messages. There were whispers that multiple people had access to those backups, some of whom were now panicking. According to one source, they're scared. They thought this would be messy but manageable. They didn't think Rihanna would fight back like this. But even as Rihanna's video brought a wave of sympathy, it also triggered new waves of backlash. Tabloids began digging into every past relationship she'd ever had, questioning who else might have been affected. Headlines screamed speculation. One read, "Did Rihanna put other stars at risk?" Another asked, "Why didn't she tell anyone sooner?" The press had gone from predators to vultures, picking apart every detail of her personal life. And then, out of nowhere, a former bodyguard came forward. His face was blurred in an exclusive interview with a gossip channel, but his voice was clear. "I remember her breaking down in the car," he said. "She told me she was scared she'd lose everything. She didn't even want to perform. She said she felt like she was carrying poison." The quote went viral. Fans debated whether it was metaphorical or literal. But the damage was done. Suddenly, sympathy turned into paranoia. Some fans began unfollowing her. Brands quietly re-evaluated their contracts. Even within her own team, trust was cracking. One stylist reportedly left her mansion in tears after a heated argument about media appearances. "She's paranoid now," a source said. "She thinks everyone's going to leak something." But not everyone turned away. In fact, some of Rihanna's most loyal fans began mobilizing online, creating hashtags in support of her. #IstanWithery began trending globally. Celebrity friends posted messages of love. Beyoncé's mother liked a post defending Rihanna. Lizzo posted a story saying, "No one owes you their medical history, period." The support helped. But the emotional toll was far from over. Then came the final twist no one expected. An anonymous email was sent to multiple media outlets. It included screenshots, documents, and one chilling audio file. The sender claimed to have proof that the 2009 fight between Rihanna and Chris Brown was not just a reaction to jealousy, but a confrontation about betrayal and deception related to her medical status. The attached recording was damning. It captured a voice, allegedly Chris, yelling, "You should have told me. You should have told me before we even did anything." Whether real or edited, the audio sent shockwaves through the internet. It reignited public opinion, reignited judgment, reignited trauma. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't about compassion, it was about blame. And both artists were caught in the crossfire. Legal experts began weighing in. Some speculated that if the tape was real, it could reopen past investigations. Others warned it might lead to defamation lawsuits. The drama had escalated beyond. Celebrity gossip had become a public crisis, but perhaps the most devastating blow came from someone Rihanna never expected, a close family member who gave an off-the-record quote to a tabloid in Barbados. "She was always strong," they said, "but she keeps secrets. Always has, and now is coming back to destroy her." The betrayal from inside her own bloodline sent Rihanna into a spiral. She reportedly canceled all appearances, including a secret music video shoot. Those close to her say she's barely sleeping, barely eating, just trying to hold on. "It's like she's reliving everything," Melissa confided. 2009 is haunting her again. And this time, it's not going away. Fans began to wonder how much more could she take? And what would be the final straw? As the world watched and speculated, Rihanna remained silent once again. Her team released a brief statement, thanking fans for their support and asking for privacy. But rumors swirled that she was preparing one final move, something that could either vindicate her or end her public image forever. Because Rihanna wasn't done fighting, she was just getting started. The night before her final statement, the house was quiet. Too quiet. Melissa sat at the edge of the bed, watching Rihanna from across the room. Her phone lay face down, untouched for hours. Outside, paparazzi still hovered in unmarked vans, their lenses fixed on every window. Inside, Rihanna stared at her reflection for what felt like forever. She didn't cry this time. There were no tears left. What filled the silence wasn't fear anymore. It was resolved. Early that morning, a private message was sent to select journalists. No press conference. No media circus. Just one announcement. A response. In full, coming in 24 hours. While the world held its breath, something else was happening. Behind closed doors, her legal team had uncovered the truth about the leaks, and it wasn't just one person, it was a network. A group of disgruntled former staffers, tied together by nothing but resentment and greed. One had hacked into her cloud backup. Another had sold screenshots to a foreign tabloid, The worst part? Someone in her legal team had known and said nothing. Not because they supported it, but because they were afraid. Afraid of the scandal? The headlines, the collapse of her empire. And in their silence, the betrayal had multiplied, but Rihanna wasn't going to let fear win this time. The next evening, a new video dropped. Not an apology, not a confession. A declaration dot in the opening frame. She looked different, composed, fierce, eyes burning with quiet fire. They wanted to shame me, she began. They wanted to drag me back into a version of myself I worked hard to bury, but I am not that girl anymore. She spoke about the diagnosis again, this time in full. Yes, I was diagnosed with HIV in 2009. I found out during one of the most painful times in my life. I didn't know how to handle it. I was 21, terrified. I told no one, not even the man I loved, and that was wrong. She didn't try to dodge responsibility. Instead, she leaned into it. I hurt people by staying silent, and I've lived with that guilt for years, but what I won't do is be shamed for surviving. The video was unfiltered, brutal, beautiful. She described how the diagnosis changed everything, how it haunted her relationships, how every moment of joy came with a shadow. She talked about the loneliness, the fear of judgment, the rumors that followed her through every red carpet. This doesn't make me dirty, she said, voice trembling but firm. It makes me human. And if you want to judge me for something I couldn't control, then maybe you were never really a fan. But the most jaw-dropping moment came at the very end, when she revealed she had known about the leaks weeks before. They went public. She'd been warned quietly by someone unexpected. A woman who once dated Chris Brown, she called me, Rihanna said. We hadn't spoken in years. And she said, they're planning to destroy you. They've got files, messages, audio. You need to be ready. Fans were stunned. Who was the mystery woman? Some speculated it was Karoosh Tran. Others thought it might be a lesser-known ex. Either way, this twist added an entirely new layer. Was this whole leak part of a vendetta? A revenge campaign disguised as gossip? As the video ended, Rihanna looked directly into the camera. I'm not asking for pity, I'm asking for understanding. And to the people who tried to break me with this, you failed. Within hours, social media exploded with reactions. Celebrities shared the video in solidarity. Fans posted messages of love. Hashtags, like hashtag we got your IH and hashtag respect Rihanna trended worldwide. Even longtime critics posted statements of support. But the fallout wasn't over yet. Chris Brown finally broke his silence, not in a video, but in a lengthy post on his story. I didn't handle things right back then, he wrote. But what's being said now? It's bigger than the past. I hope people learn from this. I know I have. It was a rare moment of maturity, and fans were divided. Some called it damage, control. Others called it growth. But for Rihanna, it didn't matter. She wasn't waiting for validation anymore. The legal team moved swiftly. Subpoenas were filed. Multiple individuals were served. One assistant was arrested for violating multiple privacy laws. A former data tech employee from Fenty's IT department was caught trying to leave the country. It was all unraveling. And this time, Rihanna was pulling the strings, but even as justice began to take form, the emotional weight didn't lift. One night, Melissa found her sitting alone by the piano, hands resting on the keys, but not playing. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if none of this got out? Rihanna asked quietly. Melissa nodded. But then you wouldn't be here right now, telling your truth. A week later, Rihanna flew to Barbados. No paparazzi, no makeup, just peace. She stayed for 3 days. Visited her grandmother's grave, walked the beach at sunset. Reconnected with her cousin, the one who had spoken to the media. The conversation was short, but powerful. I didn't mean to hurt you, he said. I was scared. She forgave him. Not because he deserved it, but because she needed to. And slowly, things started to shift. Brand deals resumed. Photo shoots were rebooked. Fans flooded her comments with hearts instead of questions. And though the scars were fresh, they were healing. The last twist came not from a leak, but from her. 2 months after the storm settled, Rihanna dropped a surprise single. A soft haunting ballad. No promo, no video, just a song. In the lyrics, she sang about betrayal, silence, love, shame, and survival. Fans called it her most vulnerable track ever, and the world listened. The girl they tried to break was now standing taller than ever. Not because she was unshaken, but because she had shaken the world by telling her truth. And somewhere out there, someone was watching, realizing they failed. Because no matter how dark the storm, Rihanna had made it through. And she wasn't going anywhere.